Good morning. It's good to see you all this sunny March morning. And my name is David Mann. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the director of music here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. Delighted to introduce Barry Finkelstein on the accordion, who's going to tell us a little bit about our opening music.
Thank you, David. So, good morning, everybody. So, March is Women's History Month. So, yeah. So for that, we have a couple of jazz tunes by women composers. And there are a handful of women composers in the jazz world, not too many. But these two are pretty well known, and they did some special things. So the first I'm going to play for you is God Bless the Child by Billie Holiday. And she collaborated with Arthur Herzog. And what she said about this is that she thought of this song after an argument with her mother about money. And I like to think of it as kind of about financial independence, especially for women and women of color. And then, by the way, if you've only heard Blood, Sweat, and Tears version of this, you should listen to some of the women singers who do a different kind of job with it. Very nice. And then the second piece is Willow Weep for Me by Anne Ronell. And it's a beautiful bluesy kind of piece that she dedicated to George Gershwin. And she was the first woman to write both music and lyrics for a Broadway show called Count Me In.
Lovely and a delightful change of pace for our opening music this morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. We are a people of many backgrounds, sexual orientations, races, genders, disabilities, and abilities, both seen and unseen. At UUCA, we encourage people to come for community, find inspiration, and live with purpose together. My name is Jim Finley, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm a grateful member of the Board of Trustees. Today is Sunday, March 2nd, and whether this is your first time with us or your regular Sunday routine, we're glad you're here. Today's service will explore the theme of trusting in time. We here at UUCA are a highly active and engaged community, so I encourage each of you to go to our newsletter for all the latest news and activities of our church and visit our calendar on our website. This year, we know more than ever that we need each other and that we need UUCA to continue to thrive as a place of refuge, resistance, and resilience. Yesterday, we launched our annual giving season at UUCA. We're going to begin by talking about why UUCA matters to us, how we hope UUCA will show up in the coming months and years, and how we can all be a part of that vision. Today, after service, interested members are encouraged to gather with Reverend Amanda and member Wells McCurdy in the boardroom after the boardroom's down there on the far right, in the boardroom after service at noon. We'd love to hear people join us with treats and conversation. Thank you and welcome to UUCA.
Thank you so much, Jim, for that welcome. Thank you, Barry, for the beautiful music this morning and for holding it in context for us. I'm so appreciative of the choices that you and that David are making this morning with our music. I want to let folks know there are, as always, a couple of seats in the front. So if you are in the back and you'd rather be in the front, come on up. And to say how grateful and glad I am to be with all of you this morning. My name is Reverend Amanda Poppy. My pronouns are she, her, and I am privileged to serve as senior minister here at UUCA. And I am so grateful this morning to be joined on the chancel by one of our amazing worship associates, Tommy Lowe, whose pronouns are he, him, by David Mann, our music director. You've heard Barry already. We have amazing vocalists with us this morning. We are so glad to be together. And we have all of you this morning. And that is perhaps the best of all. I was saying to someone as I came in, you know, this is an auction sermon. I'll say a little more about that later. And I always get nervous when there are pre-expectations about a sermon. Like, I like you to come in with really low expectations. But then I remember that the truth is, as Tommy said, it's really about the vibe. And so you all are the vibe here. And what matters most is that we are gathered together. I want also to wish Ramadan Mubarak to all in our community who may be honoring as Ramadan began just a couple of evenings ago, and all in our larger Arlington community, the many who are observing this coming month and have begun their fast, and also their breaking of fast in the evening as they celebrate together. So Ramadan Mubarak to all. And a special greeting in general, because it is Sunday morning and we are here together. So I invite you, if you are watching online, to say hello in the chat. Make sure you connect with each other. If you are here in our sanctuary or back in the fellowship hall, make sure that you turn towards someone you haven't met before and offer a greeting this morning. Friends, it is so good to be together. It is so good to be together, near and far. I just heard that if you're in the fellowship hall, the speaker system, which we've just upgraded, means that I sound like I'm coming from behind you. So you're welcome for it being a little creepy. Before I offer our call to worship this morning, I want to just also congratulate Chalice Theater, which is the kind of combo church and community theater that is embedded here at UUCA and in its 27th season. They had a great opening show last night of their performance, Once Upon a Mattress. And that is a show that has been around for a long time. They are holding it in a new way with the tagline that everyone can be a princess and a theme of Drag Queen Story Hour. And so I am particularly grateful for the joy and sparkle that it brings in this moment, and encourage you to see a show. The one this afternoon, I believe, is sold out, but you can go next weekend and the following, so be sure to get your tickets soon. They do sell out quickly. I want to offer as a call to worship this morning a piece written by Unitarian Universalist Arlen Goff, which spoke to me as we have just begun the month of Ramadan, when so many around the world are fasting and coming closer to their understanding of God and community, Ummah, the gathered community. As we enter into March, another month in this time where every week feels perhaps like a month. And as we remember what it is to be together every day, a new beginning and a new possibility. So this piece is titled Thresholds. We cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside, and back again. From here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, from what we were and what we are to what we can be. In this hour and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed in this moment? How will we be changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering of beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsty souls. Come, let us worship together.
Morning. We light our candle of compassion this week to shine light on the continued horrors in Ukraine and the fear and anxiety that we hold in our hearts for the innocent people who are so far away, yet so close to our hearts. Also, I must say my heart is broken. My heart is broken for my friends and neighbors, my community, my country, and for all those in need around the world. I know many of you are in the same boat as me, and I know many of your boats are sinking.
As we hold space for all that is unfolding around us, in our communities, in our country, in the world, we also hold space for those joys and sorrows that live within this congregation. And so I want to share news of a loss here. Some days ago, you'll see more information in our Wheel of Life, I believe, next week. Ken Perkins Goff, who was ill for some time, died. His wife, Deborah Perkins Goff, sends care and appreciation to the community, and we'll share more as we know about memorial service plans. We hold Ken in our hearts in a season that has held a lot of loss within this congregation in recent weeks and months. We hold that loss with gratitude for the love it represents and for the care of this community.
And now we light our chalice. The words are in your order of service. I'll read the first part, and then we'll read the second part together. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and warmth to the world.
We invite you to join us for our opening hymn. You can rise in body or spirit in the Teal hymnal number 1059. This hymn examines the precious moments of life and the idea of time. I will sing the hymn first, and then you can repeat after me 2 times. And then Lori and Jordan will lead the far side, the furthest from me, in parts. So if we divide down the middle aisle, if you're furthest from me, then you'll be on the first part. And then if you're closest to me, you'll sing with me on the second part. So I'll sing first, and then we'll sing it together. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. Together, 2 times. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. Far side, you start.
May your light be as a
My side.
song, resounding
May
in
your
the
life
dawn,
be
to sing
as a
awake the
song,
light,
resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light and softly serenade the stars. One more time. Ever dancing circles in the night. One more time. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. Thank you very much. Have a seat.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah, your turn.
Okay. All right, so we have a story, and I would love some help from the young ones to help tell this story. It's a wonderful story, so please come on up. Hi, Teague. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Lincoln. Good morning. Well, thank you for joining me up here. Good morning. Hi. So you brought a friend? What is he? Is that a red panda? Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining me up here. We have a really nice story here, and the story is called these hands. These hands, okay? So the story starts on the first page. Can you see that? You see that? You see what they're doing? It says, "Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands used to tie a triple bowline knot in 3 seconds flat? Well, I can still help a young fellow learn to tie his shoes. Yes, I can." You guys know how to tie your shoes? Yeah? Everybody know? You? Oh, you don't have any tie shoes? That's smart. That saves a lot of time. That's very good. I like that. Next page. So here they are, and the next page. Can you see what they're doing? You see what they're doing? "Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands?" Hi. "Did you know these hands used to make the ivories sing like a sparrow in springtime? Well, I can still show a young fellow how to play heart and soul. Yes, I can." You see what they're doing? What are they doing? They're playing a piano. Everybody see a piano here? It's right over there. There's a big one. Here's the next page.
I have a piano.
You have a piano? Do you play the piano? You have a piano too?
It plays a bunch of instruments.
Oh, yeah?
I have a piano.
And you have a piano?
James plays it and he's not
Oh, yeah.
And he
Oh, that's
plays
fantastic.
the music on it.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I love the piano. So this is what they're doing on the next page. "Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands used to pluck the ace of spades right out of thin air? Well, I can still teach a young fellow how to do a waterfall shuffle. Yes, I can." You see what they're doing here? They're playing cards. You guys ever play cards before? No?
An ace of
Oh, yeah, you see the ace of spades? There it is. Or ace of hearts, that is. Okay. Okay, so here's the next page. You see? You see what they're doing on this page? What are they doing? They're playing baseball, right?
Is it 42?
"Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands used to throw a curveball faster than a dive-bombing honeybee? Well, I can still help a young fellow learn to hit a line drive. Yes, I can." Does anybody know what a curveball is? That's when you throw the ball and it goes not in a straight line, but it goes in a curve. It's pretty neat. But it takes a lot of years to learn how to do that. Okay, so here's the next page. Can you see what they're... Here's the next page. So I want you to look closely at this page.
Bakers.
Yeah, they're baking, right? "Look at these hands, Joseph. Did you know these hands were not allowed to mix the bread dough in the Wonder Bread factory?" So this is a true story, a true story. "Did you know these hands were not allowed to touch the bread dough in the Wonder Bread factory? These hands were only allowed to sweep the floors and work the line and load the trucks because the bosses said white people would not want to eat bread touched by these hands." That's terrible. So I wanted to pause here for a moment. Can we all put our hands in for a second? Everybody kind of gather around here. Gather around in it. Come on over here. Let's gather around. I'm sorry. Gather around in the group and let's put our hands here together. Hands together. Hands together. Right there. Okay. What do you see? What do you see? What? Yes. Well, our hands are all different, right? How are they different? Right, exactly. Yep, all our hands are just a little bit different color, aren't they?
And some are the same, like, and they are not the same size.
Yep, and they're not the same size, and some are. Yes, Gavin.
And this one's skin kind of matches mine. Yeah, that's the
Yeah, and our fingerprints have different patterns. That's right. That's very good.
and some are more wrinkled.
Yeah, and some are more wrinkled. and others, particularly mine. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. So yes, our hands are all very different. Thank you. And that's what I wanted to point out, that the fact that our hands are all different and different color, that's a great thing, okay? That's called diversity, and that is a wonderful thing that is to be celebrated and treasured. Okay? All right. Thank you. Okay, back to our story. Well, people were not happy about the situation where his grandfather could not touch the bread dough at the Wonder Bread factory. So they got together on this next page. Well, these hands joined with other hands, and we wrote petitions. Next page. And we carried our signs. You see that? Oh, I'm sorry. There, you can see them. They're carrying their signs. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll make sure you can see. And we raised our voices together. And see, they're all at the Capitol. And they're gathering together in peace to protest. Okay, so you see what's happening on this next page? Yeah, he's making the bread now. It says, now any hands can mix the bread dough no matter their color. Now any hands can touch the bread dough no matter their color. Yes, they can. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, let's stop for a moment. Let's use our hands and clap. That's a great moment. So here's our next page. Look at these hands, Grandpa. These hands used to not be able to tie a shoe. But you can see now he can tie his own shoe. Or play the piano. Or shuffle the cards. But now he can. Or hit the ball.
What? That's a home run.
That's a home run? Yeah, that's a pretty big hit, right?
No, it's literally a home run. It's running away from home.
Yeah, that's a big hit. And now, next page, now I can do all that, plus bake a fine loaf of bread. Can't I?
Oh,
And then his grandfather says,
it won't last long.
his grandfather says, why, yes, you can, Joseph. Look at those hands. Those hands can do anything, anything at all in this whole wide world. Yes, you can. So before you head off, let's see your hands. Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. Adults too, hands up. So I want you to remember one thing before you go to class, that with your hands, you can do anything. You can be a teacher, you can be an engineer, you can make peace in the world, and you can also help people all over the world and make a difference as a federal worker. What's that?
I want to be a journalist.
Oh yeah,
Would
journalist.
you help us sing our children to our classes?
Peace to you on your way. May you grow in love each day, meeting new friends and opening your mind to the wonders of the world you will find. To the wonders of the world.
At this time, we invite you into a moment of prayer or reflection. You're invited to close your eyes or cast a soft gaze. Notice your breath. Ground yourself with the earth, the trees, the sky. And now I invite you to place your hand on your heart. Steady, steady, heart beating, beating. Breathe in, breathe out. Through my effortless days of great joy and happiness, when my heart was full, my path was easy, and the sun washed across my face. When I was so full of love, I lost track of time and space. I was soaring, rising, breathless, light as light, weightless. Steady, steady, heart beating, beating, step by step, turn by turn. Through my heavy days of grief, doubt, and sorrow, when I was drowning, falling, and the darkness suffocated my every breath. When I was a prisoner of time with no escape, my hungry heart ached for loved ones whose hearts beat no more. My bruised heart left battered with scars and calluses. Steady, steady, heart beating, beating, page by page, chapter by chapter. In this moment, we have arrived. Today, together, trusting, still here after all. Be present. The little boy from an Arkansas river town is still connecting hearts and doing good. The little girl from a New York village is still spreading wisdom and building a village of her own. We've learned the scars and calluses can't stop the beat, and while our darkest chapters may be long and numerous, they are not the title of our book. Steady, steady, heart beating, beating, sunrise, sunfall. In this moment, we journey into the future. Tomorrow, together, trusting. Our hearts shed and molt. They grow larger. Our hearts are open to give and to receive. Even in our happiest moments, may our hearts be open to the joys and sorrows of others. And in our darkest moments, may we find the love still in the corners of our heart to share with the world. May it be so.
Would you please now join us in singing Spirit of Life, first in Spanish, then in English. Words are in your order of service.
Compasión,
It's always a liability when the worship associate writes the prayer and then you cry. That was really beautiful, Tommy. Thank you. Here at UUCA, we have a regular practice and tradition and commitment of sharing our offering, our collection each month. Here in March, as we begin our annual giving campaign, we look inward and focus on the mission that we have here at UUCA, about what it means, especially now, and about how we can support and continue it. And so I'd like to invite Val Bryant, a member of the Board of Trustees, to come forward and share a little bit about our annual giving campaign and what it means to her.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. As Reverend Amanda said, my name is Val Bryant. I signed the membership book here at UUCA about a year ago, and I am now a member on the Board of Trustees. March is annual giving campaign here at UUCA. This is a normal thing that we do every year, but I want to start by acknowledging that nothing about this year actually feels normal. For some of you, those who have lost jobs, any gift you're able to make is welcome, and having you in the pews with us on a Sunday is the real gift. For me, now is a very important time to give. UUCA is a huge source of my resilience and strength. It is a light to me in darkness when all other lights have gone out. This church gives me community. It gives me somewhere to be every Sunday morning, singing in the pews, shaking hands during the welcome, and rooting for the little ones to cause a little more chaos during the wisdom lesson. And they almost never disappoint. This church also gives me spiritual development, which as an ex-Catholic, maybe panentheist, vaguely pagan person, is a little bit hard to come by elsewhere. And lastly, this church makes me feel empowered, even when the world is literally on fire. I feel terrible every evening, scrolling through the news of the day's disasters, sitting on my couch, shrimp-like posture over my phone. But here in this building on Sunday morning, I remember that I'm part of something larger. I'm part of a tradition of dissent. I'm surrounded by elders who have been fighting for justice for longer than I've been alive, and I'm surrounded by children whose futures are worth fighting for. If any of that resonates with you, please evaluate whether you can give more to UUCA to support the programs and people that enrich your life. So that was the inspiring part. But for those of us who are new to church and to church giving, the logistics and numbers part of it is also important. So I wanted to share a little bit about how I think about how much I give. So back about a year and a half ago, I started coming to UUCA pretty regularly. I was getting pretty involved here and in here multiple times a week, and I realized I should probably not be giving zero. And I started to count. I realized on average I was doing 2 UUCA events a week, here every Sunday morning, and then in Leanne Williams' Building Your Own Theology class, which I highly recommend if they offer that again. And then I kind of calculated, I figured I'd have spent about $25 on social activities of similar length, like a drop-in yoga class or a brunch with friends, and yet I was getting even so much more out of being here. So at a monthly level, 8 events a month, $25 a piece came to $200 a month, and that's actually what I started with. And then when I signed the membership book, and I then actually looked at my monthly budget to see what was sustainable, and I increased accordingly. The giving campaign theme this year is refuge, resistance, resilience. We need each other now. I need all of you now, and I'm grateful that you're here for me.
It's a lot of crying for me this Sunday. We will now receive your gifts. I want to name, too, that this month, as Rev CTC and I looked at our usual tradition in March of focusing only internally with our collections, as well as with our annual giving pledges and setting up recurring gifts, we decided this year we wanted to be able to retain the possibility of sharing that usual 70% out where it is most needed. So we're going to watch this month and see what funds may be popping up, whether that's to support federal workers or in other ways around the DC area, and sharing out. And we'll let you know as the month goes on where it feels most appropriate for us to offer that collection. So I want to let you know that. You should have received an email about the annual giving campaign already and be getting a letter in the mail. If you are really new to this community, you may not be on our list, and so if you would like to give, you are very welcome to be part of that effort here in sustaining our institution, and I invite you to join me at 12 o'clock or to see any board member or me or a staff member at any point in the month. I'm grateful for your gifts and for this community, and we now will receive gifts of music as we receive yours.
This next song that we're going to perform for you is about being in community together across different generations. If you happen to know the song, it's not an exclusive music event. Feel free to sing along.
Once upon a time there was a tavern where we used to raise a glass or two. Remember how we laughed away the hours and dreamed of all the great things we would do. Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We'd live the life we choose, we fight and never lose, for we were young and sure to have our way. La 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 la. Those were the days, oh yes, those were the days. Then the busy years went rushing by us. We lost our starry notions on the way. If by chance I'd see you in the tavern, we'd smile at one another and we'd say, those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We lived a life we choose, we'd fight and never lose, 'cause we were young and sure to have a way. La 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 la. Those were the days, oh yes, those were the days. Just tonight I stood before the tavern. Nothing seemed the way it used to be. In the glass I saw a strange reflection. Was that lonely woman really me? Those were the days, my friends, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We'd live the life we choose, we'd fight and never lose, for we were young and sure to have our way. La 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 la. Those were the days, oh yes, those were the days. Through the door there came a familiar laughter. I saw your face and heard you call my name. Oh, my friend, we're older but no wiser. the same. Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We live the life we choose, we fight and never lose. Oh, we were young and sure to have our way. La 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 la. Those were the days. Oh yes, they were the days.
One of the joys of my position is receiving emails like the one I got from David that said, I think I've found a song for two voices, piano, accordion. It was made famous by a woman for Women's History Month, and it's basically about time. As the ushers come forward, I celebrate the many gifts we hold in this congregation. I invite you now to join me in blessing those gifts, the gifts you have contributed and the gifts that we have received. We bless and receive these gifts, opening our hearts to true generosity. Let us be grateful when we give, be it time, talent, or treasure. Let us be grateful for our needs and the experience of vulnerability. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts to nurture this congregation. Thank you.
Today's reading is entitled, I Dare You, by Dorianne Laux. It's autumn, and we're getting rid of books, getting ready to retire, to move to someplace smaller, more manageable. We're living in reverse, age-proofing the new house, nothing on the floors to trip over, no hindrances to the slowed mechanisms of our bodies, a small table for two. Our world is shrinking, our closets mostly empty. Gone the tight skirts and dancing shoes, the bells and whistles. Now, when someone comes to visit and admires our works of Shakespeare, the hawk feather and the open dictionary, the iron angel on a shelf, we say, take them. This is the most important time of all, the age of divestment. Knowing what we leave behind is like the fragrance of blossoming trees that grows stronger after you've passed them. Breathing them in for a moment before breathing them out. An ordinary Tuesday when one of you says, I dare you, and the other one just laughs.
Thank you so much, Tommy, for that reading, that poem. So I mentioned at the beginning of the service that the sermon today, and actually also the prayer that Tommy wrote and offered to us this morning, were part of the church auction that happened this past fall. And it was one of the things that people could bid on, you know, a cake and a guided tour of a museum, and then Tommy and me talking about whatever you might like us to talk about. Alan Kieswetter had the winning bid, and those of you who know Alan may know why I was just a little bit worried that he would ask for a detailed explanation of the Middle East conflict over time and history spanning many centuries and engaging in detailed information about U.S. foreign policy. But then I remembered that's actually the sermon Alan could give. That's not the one he needs anybody else to give. Whew. And I was really delighted, in fact, when Alan told Tommy and me that he wondered if we could talk and think and pray about aging. We had a lunch, the three of us, to talk about what that might mean, about the way we could explore the topic. And Alan asked whether I had any thoughts on what it meant to age well. That surely, having done so many memorial services, having accompanied people through different parts of their lives, I would have a kind of expertise to offer on how we might age well. We had some conversation at that lunch about the difference between aging well and just living well, and which one the sermon should be about, and whether there even was a difference. We ended up settling on aging as the core topic, largely because I felt it was a little more tackleable, easier to tackle than how to live. Seemed like maybe I would take the Middle East conflict over the last hundreds of years. I will say that anything I do know on the topic of aging well, I have learned from other people, which is actually a particular point that we'll return to later. But it turned out in the course of that lunch that I had some thoughts I did want to offer. I'm not sure how many of them came from memorial services or from traveling through life with people, one of the great honors of serving as a minister. But they came instead from people who had taught me in both practical and deeply spiritual ways a few things about what aging meant to them. So I want to acknowledge those folks here, and in the first case, to encourage you to check out a book or two. At the last congregation that I served, the Washington Ethical Society, where I served for 12 years, we were lucky to have as one of the congregants a woman named Beth Baker, who is a journalist and writer and authored 2 books around aging. The first one, Old Age in a New Age, The Promise of Transformative Nursing Homes, focuses, as you would imagine, upon institutions that support people who are aging within those institutions. The second book is called With a Little Help from Our Friends, Creating Community as We Grow Older. And it focused on the many ways that people create community around themselves through co-housing, through multi-generational housing, through villages, the sort of village concept, through simply friendship groups, the way people that support each other as they age. So I encourage you to check out Beth's work, and in particular, that second book on creating community as we age. I learned a lot from Beth as she went on a book tour for that book and as she offered thoughts on it at the Ethical Society. And I want to offer to you, as my one practical piece of advice around aging, a quadrant exercise that I learned from Beth. Now, here's the problem. It was a long time ago. I've aged since then, and I'm not sure I remember exactly what the quadrants were supposed to be. So, Beth, if you're ever watching this, I'm sorry if I mess it up, but it was something like this. You know these kinds of charts, right, where you have 2 axes and you're moving and looking for spaces within each quadrant. Sometimes you're figuring out like your personality type or how you'd like to decorate your living room, like more shabby chic or like minimalist over here, right? In this case, we have alone and together. And we have physical and sedentary. What I learned from Beth Baker, the author of these books, was that as we age, we often find that things that we used to be able to do with many people, as our friendship groups change, as people move away and die, we have times when we are alone more frequently than we were in the past. We also may find, as we age, that the things that we used to do that were physical, that involved our whole bodies moving through space, may be more difficult at different times in our lives. And then we are, by necessity, more sedentary. But what she taught was that as we are aging, and P.S., we're all aging, right? Like, oh, yep, now we're older. As we age, we want to make sure that each of these quadrants is filled with things that we love to do. So, for instance, I love embroidery. I mostly do embroidery alone and seated. It's actually a pretty bad idea for me to not be seated when I'm doing embroidery. Sometimes I do embroidery with other people. I really like CrossFit, and I like to do that with other people. But I also like yoga, and I mostly do that alone because I think I look embarrassing. I like to talk with people, and I like to eat with people. And I mostly do those things seated. Over the course of our lives, she taught, we want to fill each of the quadrants so that when we move one way or the other way on an axis, we still have available to us things that we love to do. When something that was once available to us is no longer available to us, we move over to a different thing, still available, still rich and fulfilling. Okay, that's the sum total of my practical advice, but I actually think it's pretty good. So thanks, and read Beth Baker's book, I would say. I don't think I've ever done a chart in a sermon before, and you're getting 2 today. Congratulations. Because I also learned while serving there at the Ethical Society from another woman about aging in a more spiritual way. So this congregant was named Barbara, and she gave a sermon while she was in her 80s. She gave a sermon in which she used another graph. This one, the axis was time, and something like satisfaction maybe, or life going how I thought it would. Barbara told her life story, which began with incredibly high achievement within the field of science at a very young age, unusually recognized for a young woman of her age and generation, and then movement into that scientific field and reaching sort of heights early on working in a lab, which she hated. So she left it. And she showed us along how that felt when her career turned out to be completely different than she thought it was going to be, and she knew she had to make a change. She eventually got married and had children, and then divorced. She moved into different career fields, trying to find the one that worked, and ended up in one that felt deeply satisfying with significant possibility, and then she retired. Her life, she showed us on the graph, followed ups and downs, some that she anticipated and some that she did not. And she told us this story from her vantage point in the 80s. Her 80s, I mean, not the 1980s. And ended her graph like this. Because of her feeling that decade after decade, despite the dips, despite the ways that life didn't turn out how she thought it would, she had more and more possibility in front of her. I remember how powerful that message to me was at that time when I was in my early 30s. And I remember it again year after year now as I am here in midlife, in the space of midlife transition that so many of us experience. I remember how powerful it was to hear from an elder that life doesn't turn out the way you think it will, and that will eventually be okay, because it'll turn out a different way that might still be amazing. Barbara was a mentor to me in multiple ways. One of those was also how she experienced life in her ninth decade, so in her 80s. She had done just about everything at the congregation, every leadership role. And so when I came in, obviously, I also wanted her to be in leadership roles while I was serving there. And I would call her up and ask if she would chair the pledge team or whatever it was. And she would say, Amanda, now that I'm in my 80s, I really only do things that I want to do, and I don't want to do that. Okay. It was revolutionary for someone who would say no only with 15 caveats about how terribly sorry I was and maybe I could do it next week and, I could possibly fit it in on the 14th of June. I don't want to do that, so I think I won't. It has been important to me to find these mentors, and maybe that's another piece of practical advice. People who are living their lives in ways that I hope to, who are reminding me that the choices in front of me, the kind of life I can build, doesn't have to match what society tells me it should look like, which mostly seems to be more stuff, a neater yard, and maybe an air fryer. People who are able to show me, as our poem pointed out this morning, what real legacies look like, what it means to build a life of love and community, to build a life that seeks to transform the world, to do so in different ways at different ages through life. It is maybe what I learn when I'm officiating memorial services, though I don't think the officiating part is special. I think it's something that many of us learn at memorial services when we hear the story of a whole life, and we are inspired to hold our own life just a little differently, maybe just a little more in line with our values, with what we love the most. This congregation has lost 2 staff members in the last couple of months. It is very unusual for a staff member to die while employed, while on staff. I don't know that I have experienced that before, and it has been a deep loss for the congregation overall and for the staff. That's Ken Bissell, our handbells director, who died later in his life, and Jason Jenkins, our lobby attendant, who died at just about my age. Reflecting on those lives at their memorial services, both of which I attended and did not officiate, right? It's an unusual experience for me these days. Reflecting on their lives reminded me of the way that, yes, aging might, as we move, if we are lucky, into later and later years, aging might indeed remind us that we are closer to death. But in fact, the life we have, the time we have, is unknown to all of us. And so the way that we live it is important at every age. The way that we are aging well, looking forward to the mentors who inspire us, looking at the people younger than we, who are living perhaps with more freedom and inviting us into new possibilities, new ways of seeing the world, also mentors in our own aging. It reminded me of how aging well is maybe, after all, just living well. That the 2 sermons we were deciding between were the same one after all. As we navigate this time, I am grateful for the elders who have gone before. Sometimes when fear for the world is great in me, I do what Wendell Berry says in that poem and lie down with like ducks by a lake. But other times I go and find the oldest person I know and hear from them how they made it through. As we age, filling our lives with all that has been good and can still be good, and as we remember all that our lives have been and will be and may become, may we also be mentors to each other, every one of us across the generations. Mentors in the art of aging and of living well. I invite you now to rise in body and in spirit to join in singing hymn number 350, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time.
The ceaseless flow of endless time, no one can check or stay. We'll be the past with no regret, nor future with dismay. The present slips into the past, and dream like melts away. The breaking of tomorrow's dawn begins anew today. Past and future ever meet in the eternal now, to make each day a thing complete shall be our new year round.
We extinguish our chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light and warmth it represents. These we carry with us, bringing our sparks of love to the world.
Friends, may you find this week and this month and this year that there are hands reaching out to you. Hands more wrinkled and less wrinkled than your own. And together may we build a life we love.
Our last piece, We Shall Be Known, is by Ma Muse, but it features a third part that I'll sing, written by my predecessor and music director, Jen Heyman. So I'll sing that part on the last time through.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time do not we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.